How, just out of interest, how are courts nowadays? So, what's your experience?
It's interesting. So, for the viewers, obviously, just a little bit of background. Obviously, we've been dealing with COVID for the last, 2 and a bit years. And what courts did during the lockdown period, there was a lot of panic about, can we do evictions? Are courts functioning? And obviously, we have worked through you guys over the last 2 years to try and, set your mind at ease and let you know what's happening, how the courts are running. So we have been working online with courts for the better part of the last 2.5 years. So basically, all of our cases were uploaded online on a system that was created for the court system specifically, and all of the cases were heard via an electronic medium, mostly Microsoft Teams or something similar. So something that you guys are familiar with. But the directions that have now been put in place recently is that the advocates and attorneys are now returning to court in respect of particular matters in the circumstances. So you're going to see your attorneys in the circumstances are actually going back into court, and it's sort of working as a hybrid system right now, which if you speak to a lot of attorneys, it's actually kind of a blessing. It's nice that we've got a little bit of an electronic access to our cases, that documents are uploaded, which means we don't have the risk of files being lost, because I think every attorney's had to have that hard conversation with the client where files disappeared days before your final hearing, and it just means a postponement. That doesn't really exist anymore, which is phenomenal. And it just means that the attorneys are taking a bit more time to actually get into court, which court's one of those things, Bruno, where you're either an attorney who loves it or you're an attorney who doesn't want to ever be there. I know Silna doesn't want to walk into a court again in her life if she can avoid it. I actually really enjoy court, and I'm enjoying going back into court.
No, that's really cool. So I used to do quite a lot of court appearances at a stage, especially when it makes sense. And I think this is one of the unfortunate call it a criticism or observations that I'm making around moving now back to a physical court appearance. Before this, I found that physical court appearances had, came with issues, but we were stuck in our ways. Like the rules provided for them, it was very difficult to extricate or to go in a different direction and try something new. I mean, we all know the law isn't as versatile or as flexible as it maybe could be. I mean, it takes years to change legislation. I mean, it's not a bad thing. That's not a criticism. In fact, it's there for a reason. And the courts actually carry the power to interpret, to slightly adapt over, different circumstances, things like that. But with the court appearances, I was always quite disappointed on how they used to take place. And then as soon as COVID hit, super happy, because it made sense. I mean, imagine being an attorney working on a document, and as soon as your matter gets called, you're ready to argue and you go back working on the document. Because things, for example, like waiting in court and charging your clients for waiting in court was always a big point of contention. I mean, on opposed matters, you charge your client for the whole day. Why? Because logically, the way the courts worked, it made sense. You were there for the whole day. You're waiting for the judge to call. You didn't know what was going to happen, because you get up in court and some judges call the matter, or some judges allow seniors to call their matter first. If you were a junior, you're almost guaranteed to sit in court till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Sure. Yeah, and it happens.
Yeah, and I mean, in the past, there was the rolling roll in Joburg where you could be on that roll till Friday. It's pretty much like put your whole week aside, because you don't know when your matter is going to be called. It could be Tuesday, Wednesday, and I am honestly quite disappointed that we're rushing back into the old ways so quickly. I know it's a hybrid system, and I know people are going to give me slack for this, saying, oh, but some things have stayed. But things like unopposed motions for me just seem so intuitive, because that's where people spend their money. And if you could streamline it and make it faster, you could probably open up the courts for, but in any case. So that's my view. I love the appearances, but at a stage, waiting for 4 or 5 hours just didn't make sense anymore. So I send either my juniors or I brief counsel for some of the appearances.
No, look, I understand. we'll see how it goes. You know, they're obviously
Yeah.
they're not really done with the system, and they're implementing new things. We'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.